12th October 2019, early morning in the limestone ridges of northern England's Yorkshire Dales. Dawning, two young cavers walked toward the entrance of Siphon Edge. Tom Hadley was 22, Priya Bogle was 21. It had been raining through the night and ended just before dawn. The temperature, about 8 degrees. The wind was thin, the grass still wet, and the ground heavy with smell of wet. The water was drawing below into hidden grooves, sliding over glossy rock faces, making brief echoes in dark voids. They were entering into the midst of one of the country's most complex labyrinths. Their equipment had nothing complex about it: helmet, headlight, a waterproof suit, and a rope. 4 positions visible, 4 items to define their safety. That was enough. It looked simple, was supposed safe, but a cave knew no promises. A cave was rule and law, enforced with a patient deadly. A narrow passage magnified the mistakes. The entry was too tight. Countless drops seeped from the ceiling. In the first 10 meters, mud splashed above the ankles. The wall was wet, the cone of the headlamp trembling wet across slick rock, and silence was never complete. The trick was often combined with a short click meaning stone breaking. Tom led.
Yeah, great plan, Tom. Heh heh. Dirt, darkness, death. What a combo.
Priya followed his lead a body length behind, their breath measured, only the rhythm broken by the smothering weight of damp in their lungs. The damp was weight. Weight and confined gave in to sip a small spark of fear. Panic breathing was quickening. As they breathed quicker, so the narrow felt narrower. Details they knew, and sometimes knew, were not enough. Siphon Edge from a dive tunnel, when rain just ceased and the condition in there was up and down. Between air and water, the spaces wavered like a soft cloth. Air constrained in a diving dress usually tries to expand in parts that operate with tension. The inclination of the field also diminished because they came nearer to the edge. The burst of the light felt frighteningly swift. Water seemed to be becoming solid. The tunnel is tiny enough to press a chest to a stone, and inward enough to pull down a knee. The first step was to drift the chest alongside the edge. The second move was to pivot the hips. The third move was to affix the body to the rock curve.
So let me get this straight. You're pressing your chest into a rock, twisting your body like a pretzel in a hole filled with rainwater, and you call that fun? I press my chest into my couch every night. No mud, no panic, no last words. You know what my biggest risk is? Running out of snacks before the next episode. And these guys, they're down there rebranding drowning as adventure. Heh heh. Look, bro, if you can't stand up, breathe normally, or turn around. That's not exploring, that's auditioning for your own obituary.
In theory, it felt approachable. In truth, a frightening experiment. The rain from the night raised the water. The air compresses inside the diving suit. Tom felt brutal pressure over his chest. Priya perceived it more pungently. The darkness seemed heavier. Light shook on the wall and got reflected. The small bow revealed no extent. Priya inspired quicker. Panic breathing steered inside the tight area. Echoic panic fast-forwarded the panic. More panic indicates more air in the suit. The air causes the chest pressure to grow. The pressure forced the breath to be cut. The noose cough is all the more quick, padding, bleak, pitiless. He could not see over him. The squeezing prevented it. He sensed only the breath tempo. The body sensed bigger. The stone didn't diminish. The stone wall came closer. The pinning associated sensation.
Yeah, that's not exploration. That's nature giving you a really tight hug.
Dread and helplessness merged into a tiny tunnel. The pulse wheel beat hardly. It was getting colder. A small side gallery near the entrance, a topside team was waiting. Two process-tested advisors and a rescuer trusted their spilled instinct about this emergency. After rain on this threshold tag, the chance to balloon requires a sports top and a simple design valve. However, a hand of hope remains narrow in underground. First there is stamina, then determination. After that, the correct decision at the perfect time. Tom had respired his lungs with short, insubstantial push-ups. More slowly, he says to himself. 3 takes air, then 3 to break away from it. Unable to intelligent, he still tries to preserve this slow rhythm. Chest wall is similar to its pillar of limestone. A 1-drop splash, the back of his neck. Nerviness are the sensation of cold. The body feels big in slender fissure. Rocks demarcate the body's edge. When the line becomes slim, hope dwindles. Priya rejoined and hold on the current. Stop is perilous in an unusual manner. Waters obscured the shoulder line with a thin, flimsy spray film. Despite the fact that the outfit will be light in water and thick in air, the enthusiasm will be there close to your face, on your chest. A rock prevents it back. His breathing was like when, close a short edge. Panic fills the gap. 2 little snapping pauses behind a serrated, broken stone. The little snap effects. The scent joined the shadows. It produces the panting reverberation.
Ah, the sweet sound of bravery, also known as panic with better marketing. Look at him, crawling through the earth like Wi-Fi trying to reach the next room. Ha ha. Every inhale is a negotiation. Air says, you want me? Earn me. He thinks the rock is the enemy. It's not. It's the last thing still honest with him. You don't conquer caves, bro. You rent fear by the minute. And when he finally gets out, he'll call it life-changing. But all I see is a man who mistook claustrophobia for purpose.
And when the echo that ran along the ceiling line before the topside team reached them moved. They pressed on, fast but slow, 4 movements down the short gallery, and they sank into the mud at the waterline. They slipped at the handhold. They knew the way. They carried the beam low, not high, no glare on the water surface. And a handful of meters later, they hit the threshold. Tom's beam banged like a convinced ring, a cold ring on the stone wall. Priya's light fanned out above the waterline. The first step up had to be words, not language. In a cave, 5 fingers work better than 5 words in 5 seconds. Time was not as it was before. The rule was clear.
Perfect plan. Nothing screams, I've got this, like strapping a plumbing project to your arm underwater. Heh heh.
Fast, but slow. Cold, but slow. They placed the valve device at the right point on the suit arm. The sports plug adjusted to prevent the air he sucked from the water pulling air back in with the rebound. A small hiss through the echo. Air bled out. Pressure relaxed. Tom felt the invisible stone on his chest twist subtly to ensure the pressure adjustment and feel it shift slightly to fit his skin as the balance adjusted. Priya's breathing was still broken. The valve opened a second time. Air streamed through his suit like ribbons. The threshold widened by a body in width. Tom slipped his shoulder line so that it did not dilate, burn the wall, sizzle rather than cut on stupid stone, and the shoulder passed. The hips passed. Knees tested under the rock, and the fine ripple scattered in all directions on the water. Priya adopted the track Tom had unearthed. The weight on her chest had become faint. His breathing was not a rhythm, but no longer a panic. The ring had loosened. After the entry, the exit is harder.
You ever notice how every cave story starts the same? 2 people, 1 flashlight, and a PhD in bad decisions. Congratulations, reinvention of panic in HD. I mean, who wakes up one day and says, you know what I'd love? crawling through wet rock that hates me. Meanwhile, I'm over here mastering the most ancient human survival skill, not going. They say, it's about facing your fears. Really? My fear is losing Wi-Fi, and I face it daily. These people lose gravity, air, and common sense, all in one trip. Exploration? Nah, this is evolution running diagnostics. And spoiler alert, I passed. Heh heh.
The body carries the fear it has felt, the cold that seeped into the suit, the numb fingertips, souls that had lost sensation. Tom made no sound, but the mist drawn by his breath thickened in the cone of light. Priya's arms trembled. The tight passage came to an end. The cave did not. There was a low-ceilinged gallery ahead. Mud splashed to the knees. The stone walls were wet. Her trust in the floor is limited after rain. The rope was secured at 2 points. Path took a slick slope. A sudden shift of weight.
Nothing like trusting mud after rain. That's how every genius story starts. Heh heh.
A brief silence. Feet were set wide, hands fixed to the wall. With each step, the light marked the next edge. 20 minutes later, the temperature fell from 8 to 7. Cold spoke from inside the body. Muscles tightened, jaws locked. Priya felt a nagging ache along her shoulder line. Old sprain marks woke in Tom's right knee. Endurance was not merely strength. Resolve was not merely stubbornness. Both bargained with stone and water. This time a short passage set a longer test. Wide entrance, narrow exit, a bend between, water in the bend. Water tapped on stone like a thin breath. As they passed, the stone lip trembled. A pinch lasting a moment at the mouth of the passage pressed her chest again. Her breath knotted in her throat. Tom turned the light back. He slowed his movements. The flow changed rhythm at once. Minutes stretched. At last, Priya rotated her arm, set her rib against the rock's curve, and slid her body millimeter by millimeter. Dark held them briefly, then let them go. Close to the surface, the topside team sat in the small pocket by the entrance waiting. A quick check. No helmet impacts. Scratches were superficial, but the body was just so faint. Hands were wet, cold to the bone. No sun. A lead-colored sky. Both sat shivering at the exit. Water dripped from the suits. Headlamps were about to fail. Heat loss was great. Hot drinks and foil blankets would be enough.
You know what always gets me? They come out of the cave like they've unlocked the secrets of the universe. Newsflash, you didn't discover enlightenment, you just survived bad planning. People call it bravery. I call it selective stupidity. Fear didn't vanish down there, it just changed costume. 1 minute it's panic, next it's pride. And they always stare into the distance after, like heroes reborn. Buddy, you didn't fight a dragon, you fought mud. Still, maybe crawling in the dark does teach something. Maybe it shows that comfort isn't peace, it's just a pause. Anyway, I'll take my pause on the couch, with snacks, in HD. Heh heh.
They didn't say anything. There was no need. Breathing returned. Heartbeats calmed down again. Fear disappeared. Only the stone's weight remained, the water's cold, and the darkness and narrowness' darkness and helplessness. But that was not the end of the story. There are lessons that would linger. Rain does not soak just the cave, it raises the pressure within. After the rains, a narrow passage is not the same narrow. The siphon edge is between morning of evening. It is not a burden, it is more about the choice of suitability. The helmet, light, waterproof suit, and rope remain to be saviors in the dark only when they are used properly. If they are not, then they enlarge the perils. The air that goads up on the costume is the invisible enemy only in the darkness. It is a small valve and a sports stopper that get there on time. The discipline of breathing is crucial. panic breath closes the door from the inside, and the rhythm is the only way out. They think that when young people grow up, they also learn that courage is not jumping or shouting. Courage is walking in the dark while keeping the rhythm. Determining their breathing and endurance by reminding themselves that dawn has never been more than 7 dawn away and its night will end. Rescue is also not a miraculous. It is the craftsmanship of hands that have known how to read the voice of the water, the dialect of stones, and the physical of a human. They updated their suit's protocols after the accident. Suit valve cues are mandatory for checking before initiating the riding. The siphon after restore was rephrased to near at least suit in near 3 minutes. A tag was put next to a stone near the entry, which would help tell the color when a river is ridden. Though a decision was made, and each ride should have one experienced advisor or a rescuer.
You know what's wild? These rescue teams train for years just to pull out a guy who thought Google Maps works underground.
Breathing was enhanced further off the paper by giving physical compression in the name of drill. When they error the doorway towards the window and ignite the light within the darkness, someone has it behind, a tad, and within its walls, fear, pain, courage, and hope ride through the same narrow. Survival is there.
Wow. Heroes of the underground. Spent 8 hours in a hole just to make me feel better about never leaving my couch. Seriously, though. You guys good? 'Cause I just ran out of salsa. Heh heh.